Andy Cohen does not hold back on Karen Huger's sentencing. Real Housewives executive producer and reunion host, Andy Cohen is not holding back regarding RHOP alum, Karen Huger's sentencing. She was sentenced to 2 years behind bars with 1 year suspended for a DUI arrest. So what does Andy have to say now that she has officially been sentenced? Keep reading for more details. Andy Cohen does not hold back on Karen Huger's sentencing. Karen Huger was arrested a year ago for a DUI. She allegedly had a beer before she left her friend's home and then proceeded to drive. Karen then got into a wreck, and the rest is history. She did not appear at the season 9 RHOP reunion, as she claimed she was getting help for her problems. It appears she went to a wellness facility and did not make it a month. After not attending the reunion, she also resigned from the hit Bravo reality series and awaited her sentencing. The longest she was facing was 2 years behind bars. It then came out that she had several prior DUIs, so this was not a first offense. She was then sentenced to 2 years with 1 suspended. After she is released, she will be on probation for 5 years and be unable to drive for 1 year. Despite being in treatment, Karen did appear on the RHOP reunion in a clip. She was speaking to her husband, Ray, about seeing her DUI arrest bodycam footage for the first time. It left her in shock. Now, reunion host Andy Cohen is opening up about her sentencing. According to People, Andy spoke about it on his Sirius XM radio show on Monday, March 3rd. This was a big deal as he shared he had not done his show since the sentencing was handed down. Admittedly, he loves Karen, so this was a hard pill to swallow. However, Andy Cohen thoroughly understood why the judge felt the way that he did and was not playing when it came to her sentence. It had to happen. Ultimately, Andy Cohen understands why this played out as it did. Regardless, this still breaks his heart. After hearing what Andy had to say about Karen Huger, RHOP fans weighed in. Did they agree with Andy's sentiment, or were they less heartbroken? Sad about Karen getting the punishment she finally deserves. Should be happy she never hurt anyone else with 4 DUIs. I feel bad for Karen, but we can't be out here drinking and driving with no consequences. Yeah, her lawyers failed, but she needs to learn, and I hope she does. But I doubt it, she's so stuck in her ways. It appears many did not like what happened, but believed that Karen needed to pay for what she did. More so, she needed to see that she was not above the law. Andy Cohen leaned forward in his seat, adjusting his tie with a kind of precision that signaled he was about to deliver a bombshell. Welcome back to Watch What Happens Live. You guys, I don't even know where to begin with this one, he said, shaking his head dramatically. The Grand Dame of Potomac, Karen Huger, has officially been sentenced, and let's just say she is not taking it quietly. The audience gasped, some leaning in, others whispering frantically. This was the moment they had been waiting for. The news of Karen Huger's legal troubles had been swirling for months, with speculation reaching Bravo-level hysteria. Tax issues, fraudulent dealings, accusations of misusing La Dame funds. The allegations had stacked up like a precarious tower of champagne flutes at one of her lavish parties. Andy took a dramatic sip of his tequila soda before launching into the juicy details. Now let me just say this. I have interviewed Karen Huger countless times. I have seen her shift, I have seen her shade, and I have seen her deflect like she's dodging laser beams. But even I did not see this coming. He glanced at his cue cards, then tossed them aside, opting to go off the cuff. All right, let's break it all down. Karen was sentenced today in a Potomac courtroom, and let me tell you, it was a scene. She arrived in head-to-toe Chanel, wearing sunglasses so large they could have doubled as a shield from the haters. Ray was by her side, as stoic as ever, while Bravo cameras. Oh, they were rolling. And the sentence: 6 months of house arrest at her Great Falls mansion, plus community service, a hefty fine, and the kicker, a mandatory business ethics course. Andy let the words hang in the air, letting the absurdity of it all sink in. The live audience erupted. Some clapped, some gasped, a few guffawed. I mean, Andy continued, barely suppressing a grin, the woman who once told us she had moved to Great Falls because she outgrew Potomac is now legally bound to her own property. That is poetic justice, my friends. He pressed his hands together, as if in prayer, before continuing. But here's where things get really interesting. Karen gave an impromptu press conference on the courthouse steps. And you know what? I have to say it was one of the most Karen Huger things I've ever seen. The screen behind Andy flickered to life, playing a clip of Karen standing at a podium outside the courthouse, a sea of cameras flashing in her face. She looked regal, despite the circumstances, her blonde bob perfectly coiffed, her La Dame perfume undoubtedly wafting through the air. I am innocent, Karen declared, dramatically placing a manicured hand on her chest. I have always conducted myself with dignity and grace, and this travesty of justice is nothing short of an attack on my character. The clip cut back to Andy, who blinked at the camera, speechless for a moment. An attack on her character. Sis, you were found guilty. He let out a deep sigh, as if exhausted by the sheer audacity. But Karen wasn't done. The screen played another clip. House arrest? Please. My home is a palace, Karen scoffed. This is nothing more than an extended vacation. And let me be clear. I will come back stronger, wiser, and more fabulous than ever. She blew a kiss to the cameras before stepping into a waiting black SUV, driven, of course, by her ever-loyal Ray. The audience howled. Andy had to take a moment to compose himself before addressing the chaos. Listen, I have to give it to her, he admitted. Only Karen Huger could turn a sentencing into a grandstanding moment. But let's talk about how this impacts the upcoming season of The Real Housewives of Potomac. Because let's be real, we were all wondering how production was going to handle this. He leaned forward, lowering his voice to a conspiratorial whisper. Sources tell me Bravo is already working on how to film Karen during her house arrest. And let me tell you, we are about to get the most dramatic season yet. Imagine the women coming to visit her, throwing shade while sipping champagne in her gilded living room. Giselle will come in hot. Mia will try to act like she's above it, and Ashley. Oh, Ashley will stir the pot like the mess queen she is. He threw his hands in the air. I cannot wait. Andy turned his attention to the guest seated beside him. All right, let's bring in someone who knows Karen all too well. Please welcome Candice Dillard-Bassett. The audience cheered as Candice strutted onto the set, looking like she had been waiting for this moment her entire life. She wasted no time. Baby, when I tell you I nearly choked on my wine when I heard the news, she said, flipping her hair. Karen Huger on house arrest. I hope she's got a glam team on standby because she is about to be hosting some serious in-home confessionals. Andy laughed, nodding in agreement. So, Candice, do you think this is the end of the Grand Dame, as we know her? Candice smirked. Please, if Karen Huger knows anything, it's how to spin a narrative. Give her a few months, and she'll be calling herself the Martyr of Potomac. Andy nearly choked on his drink. The Martyr of Potomac. I'm done. As the show continued, the memes were already flooding the internet. Hashtags like #HouseArrestUder and #TheGrandScam were trending. Karen Huger had, once again, managed to make herself the center of attention. And somewhere in her Great Falls estate, sipping on a flute of the finest champagne, The Grand Dame was probably watching it all unfold and planning her comeback.